There's just something that's so mommy coded about destroying a mountain of dishes or like crisply folding laundry.
Do I like being called she, her? Not really. Do I want to be called girlfriend? Yes.
And sometimes we are wrong about who we think other people are.
I just started reading the Quran and I am so excited about it.
All right, guys, it's time for that part of the podcast where you all love and I love but also hate because I only have so many brain cells and each time some of them die when I do this for your entertainment and amusement. But it's time for me to react to unhinged LGBT TikToks, and boy, some of them today are real doozies, y'all. Up first, this TikToker came up with a rhyme to teach kids about pronouns.
I am who I say I am, and you are who you say you are, and sometimes we are wrong about who we think other people are. That's okay. Don't assume. You can always just ask, which pronouns do you use? He, him, she, her, they, them, these, Let me know, which one do you prefer?
Let's unpack this logic for a second. I am who I say I am. So is your position that if a kid tells you they're Superman or Batman, or that they are a wolf, that they are actually those things? I'm assuming it's not, unless this person is a total Looney Tune. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they're just a little confused. Nobody actually believes that people are just whatever they say they are. That would be ludicrous. I could walk around and tell people that I'm Tom Brady, but I'm not, in fact, Tom Brady. I don't have any Super Bowl rings, and I have never played for the New England Patriots. Objective reality and truth are concepts that do actually exist. And I, for one, don't think we should be teaching children small enough that they are being taught via rhyme that whatever they want to be or feel like is reality. And I don't think we should be confusing young children with dubious and incoherent concepts like Zer pronouns. Again, and I know I repeat myself sometimes on this podcast, but the alphabet people they're not getting it. They're not getting the message. So what choice do I have? Stop messing with kids. There is no better way to ensure backlash to the LGBT community, to this movement, than to mess with kids. People will revolt over that, and it already is, lead to backsliding and backlash. So please, on behalf of the normal LGBT people in this world, I'm begging folks like this, stop. Talk about your pronouns, do your stuff that you want to do, but don't make it about kids. That's going to really, really, really hurt our community and hurt your movement if you keep doing this, because people just are not going to stand for that. Up next, another example of why I still find non-binary TikTok so incoherent.
This is just a reminder that being non-binary is going to look different for every non-binary person. I'm non-binary, I use they, them pronouns. Do I like being called girl? No. Do I like being called she, her? Not really. Do I want to be called girlfriend? Yes. Do I want to be a mom? Absolutely. But when I'm older, do I want to be a grandpa? Yes. Now, is that a bit confusing? Sure. But it's my gender and I get to decide what's comfortable for me.
Y'all, I'm just trying to imagine normal straight people, middle-aged people who grew up and heard about gay activists and, came around to gay marriage and all that. And all of a sudden they see some TikTok chick telling them they don't want to be called girl, but they do want to be a girlfriend. They don't want to be a woman, but they do want to be a mom. And also one day they want to be considered a grandpa. What? Again, though, this is just why I view non-binary as an incoherent concept. So you don't identify as either male or female despite your biological sex, yet you still sometimes want to be referred to with woman words and pronouns, but sometimes not. And sometimes you even want to be referred to with male words or male pronouns, and yet you don't identify as male or female. The math isn't mathing for me, babe. It's not mathing. I'm putting in the calculator and then it's giving me an error message. If I, as a gay person and somebody who's generally pretty open-minded and tolerant and believes in a pluralistic society, can't wrap my head around what the hell y'all are saying and what y'all are trying to advocate for, how is an everyday person supposed to? That's enough of the non-binaries for today because they're giving me a headache, but unfortunately there's more crazy trans stuff on TikTok that I came across this week, and I enjoy suffering alongside you, so you're gonna have to watch this one too.
Give me gender euphoria, but it gets increasingly more unhinged doing housework. There's just something that's so mommy coded about destroying a mountain of dishes or like crisply folding laundry. Beating men. Not like physically beating men, but like winning against men in like sports or a video game or life itself. Also, the color green. I understand that colors don't have gender, but a good green, that's just for the girls, babe. Next, I'm gonna have to say crying. Before I transitioned, I was one of those girls-boys who like never cried, and now it's everyday like clockwork, and honestly, what is girlier than sobbing uncontrollably? Next, doing any activity with the wind in my hair, like running, biking, convertibles, boats, wind tunnels. Okay, those last three I actually haven't experienced, but I imagine the euphoria would be off the chart.
Ladies out there, I am not a woman. I'm not one of y'all, but I'm offended on your behalf. This person just said that what makes them feel like a woman is doing dishes and sobbing. Can you get more crude sex stereotypes and more misogynistic, essentialist gender roles than that? This is why you have a feminist backlash in some spaces pushing back on the trans movement and trans activists, because they feel that the ideology behind trans activism is actually regressive and sexist. When I see videos like this, I can kind of get where they're coming from. Now, I still maintain that my friends who are legitimately transsexual, who have gender dysphoria and want to live in a different way, don't approach it in this way, and the way they live their lives is in no way offensive or reductive towards women, or men for that matter. But yeah, with some of these trans activists out here, I can totally see it, how people would look at that and say, that's actually sexist, that's actually reductionist, that's not progressive or open-minded in any way. And videos like this are kinda meant in jest, I hope, but also they're not. Like, it's also clearly true that this person literally thinks part of their transition to being a woman is the fact that they cry uncontrollably. There's something so mommy about doing the dishes. Like, am I watching like a trad account? Am I listening to like Matt Walsh or something talk about the proper role of a housewife? Like, it's genuinely two sides of the same coin. It's like, this is horseshoe theory, when the two extremes go so far and they start curving up and they meet back in the same place. Please stop being like this. Seriously, like, you are just offending people. It's not a good look for yourself. It's not a good look for the LGBT community. It's cringe, it's reductive, it's lame. Please stop. Up next, I can't even keep a straight face. This non-binary TikToker has announced that they are reading the Quran and exploring a conversion to Islam. Take a listen.
I started reading the Quran and I am so excited about it. People thought when I first asked that I just wanted to read it out of curiosity, but I want to read it to study it. I started following somebody on social media that teaches the Quran and hosts a Quran book club for Muslims and non-Muslims, so I'm really excited to start going to that. She was describing the chapter of the bee, and that just blew my mind. Like, the way that she describes things and the way that the Quran describes things actually makes sense to me. And also, did you know that Allah is beyond gender? Did you know that actually scholars believe that there are two Qurans, the Quran of nature and the Quran, the actual book? And did you know that each chapter is named after a natural phenomenon? I don't know, this whole book is just blowing my mind and I am so excited. I got sticky notes so that I could mark out things that I was drawn to, and I'm not even through the first chapter and I already have a bunch of sticky notes. I'm definitely gonna have to buy more tabs. I'm honestly having a whole revolution with myself where the way that I describe the universe and the things that I believe in are actually described in the Quran of believing in Allah. And I've never thought that I believed in God before, and now I'm really having a revolution of self of, I think I actually believe in God. If you've been curious, I really recommend it. There are a lot of people who are converting. There's a lot of people who are reading it. I'm not saying I'm going to convert. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. And I don't know. I know that this is exactly what I need right now. I just wanted to say thank you and just point out how excited I am.
So let's unpack that. First, they them points out that they them have only gotten through the first chapter. And I suspect that there might be some things in the chapters to come that they them might not love so much. I have never read the Quran, and I'm really not that familiar with the tenets of Islam. So I don't want to cast too broad a brush or say anything about all Muslims or every person who is a member of the Islamic faith. I understand that there are different people and individuals with their own interpretations and their own translations and their own beliefs. So I'm not going to cast aspersions on all Muslims or all people who subscribe to the beliefs generally in the Quran. But a lot of them, probably the majority in the world, think people like this, they, them, should be thrown off bridges and thrown off rooftops. And I'll just say, keep reading the book all you want, but please, for your own sake, and I really do want you to stay safe, do not visit any Muslim majority countries where there's theocratic Islam in the law anytime soon. Because your pronouns, they about to become was/were. I'm not saying that you can't be pro-LGBT and Muslim, but I am saying that, like, it requires just sheer ignorance to think that the majority of Muslims are, or that the general tenets and establishment of the faith is in any way hospitable to LGBT people. It isn't. That's just a fact. That's just a reality. And yes, you can sort of make some of the same claims about Christianity, but the difference is that there are no Christian countries in the world with Christian law where they execute gay people and throw them off rooftops. I'm sorry, just name one. Name one. I'll wait. I'm certainly not discouraging this person from reading the Quran. I'm never going to discourage people from reading things or educating themselves further on topics, but it just does seem to me hopelessly naive to think that they will, I don't know, really find a very hospitable faith there. Maybe they could. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Let me know in the comments. Maybe there's some little niche pockets of the Muslim faith that would accept a person like this. But I'm just saying, to be only a chapter in and yet bragging about how wonderful this is, it just seems kind of incoherent. It seems inconsistent. It doesn't really seem like this is making sense. It kind of just seems like the progressive word salad, the identity politics soup, where they're like, oh, well, Islam and Muslims and brown people are oppressed, and I'm a they, them, so I'm also oppressed. So we have solidarity and in common, and not realizing that the real world is a lot more complicated than oppressed versus oppressors, because oftentimes the oppressed people are also oppressors and vice versa. And that's why I've always viewed this progressive view of the world, this identity politics obsessed mantras and viewpoints as incoherent and insufficient to understand the world we live in. And if they're taken to their extreme conclusions, you end with kind of paradoxical and hilarious situations like this. All right, guys, that's about all the LGBT TikTok I can handle in one setting without bringing up my lunch. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for tuning into this episode of the Damage Control podcast. If you're listening on audio platform right now, please do take a second and rate and review on Spotify or Apple so more people can find the podcast. And if you're watching my beautiful face on YouTube, please consider subscribing. I would love to hit 100K subscribers on here before the new year. And if you enjoyed it, if you're still at this point in the video, you must have enjoyed it, at least maybe in a masochistic sort of way. So at least drop a like button. At least hit that like button and reward my suffering. And do consider commenting and letting me know what you think about the interesting stories and videos we discussed today. And with that, I'll see you all in the next episode.